Hey everyone, so I thought I would go live real fast. I always see real fast and it takes forever, but I wanted to kind of try out some class ideas and also give some tips on our products. So if you like what I'm talking about, it's definitely something that I can do on your own page or in an event. If I could speak, that'd be great. Throwing parties for you, what have you. This is just a little practice round for me to do a class and try to keep it sort of short so I don't bore everyone to tears. Another step that I need to learn is speaking English. I'm fumbling all over my words. Anyway, so today we're going to discuss how to apply foundation and concealer. There are two ways that I recommend, and I'm not a professional, but I recommend using a brush or a beauty blender of some kind. Your foundation brush, it definitely should be a foundation brush. You shouldn't use something that is not meant for foundation because it's not going to look good at all. You're going to be able to notice that as you're putting your foundation and concealer on your skin, depending on the product itself, it will go on better with one or the other. Some of them work well with both. I know some people use their hand to put on foundation, and I'm just like, you're wasting so much product. And I used to be one of those people, for the record. So jumping right in, I kind of want to just, just make it as quick as possible. The very first and most important thing you should do when you're going to lay your foundation is to prime it. We have our Touch Glorious face primer. It is 1.35 fluid ounces and it is $39. So what you want to do, actually I want to take my ring off real quick. What you want to do is you want to take just a little bit of primer. Our primer, they kind of suggest that you let it sit in your skin for a little while before you apply, but we're just going to go right in. That just farted everywhere. So I'm using about this much. I'm going to go ahead and rub it into my hands and then onto my face. You want to also make sure that you have washed your face prior to applying any skincare. You can see that I'm putting it into my eyes. You don't have to do that. You can get an eyeshadow primer. You can, with a lot of products, you want to use an eyeshadow primer anyway, but we're not doing that today. I'm also rubbing this into my neck because it is important to bring your foundation down your neck, especially if you're not 100% sure of the color that you purchase. Sometimes it might go a little dark, sometimes it might go a little light. This way, bringing the foundation down your neck blends it together so it doesn't look like you're wearing a mask. So we're going to use our Touch Mineral Foundation. This comes with 0.68 fluid ounces and it is $39. Yes, that's a little bit less, just under half. Well, that doesn't make sense. You get just over half, oh my gosh, guys, of what you do. In your most standard foundations, usually you get about an ounce in a foundation, but you really don't need a ton of this. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my brush. That tonight is cleaning time. I'm going to use my brush. This is not a Younique brush. I don't have a Younique brush. And then foundation brush. And then I'm also going to apply one side of my face with my beauty blender. Yes, all of my tools are dirty. Tonight is tool washing night. When you're using a blender, you want to make sure that it is damp so that the product applies properly. If it's not damp, it's going to look really, really weird. So one side we're going to use the brush, one side we're going to use the blender. And before I even start with that, I'm going to go ahead and put concealer on, and I'm going to use my brush for this, underneath my foundation on one side, and then put it over top my foundation on the other side. So you can kind of see there's different options. And I'm just using the tiniest bit of concealer, and I'm going to just go ahead and put that under my eye here. A lot of people conceal first because they just want to make sure they definitely hide those dark circles, and that's fine, that's great. I'm leaning in because I didn't think to grab a mirror like a smart person. And sometimes, you know, you can put it over your eye, and just really kind of make sure all of that area is blended out nice, even though you're going to put your foundation over it. And again, this is just one way to do concealer. I never do concealer this way, to be honest. The only time I've ever put concealer on first is if I'm going to go ahead and use a powder foundation. So you can already see the difference between concealer and no concealer. It's brightened up the area. My like deep set circles are still there. I mean, obviously you're not going to make them disappear, but this definitely brightens that area up a little bit so that it doesn't look so harsh. I'm now going to go in with my foundation, and I'm going to put that on my brush as well and blend this into one side of my face. So it says to use about 4 to 5 drops, and you can either stipple and then blend in. It doesn't really matter. I kind of want to make my line right down the middle of my face so you can really kind of see, we can see if there's much of a difference. And again, it depends on the product that you're using. We're going to go down half the nose. It depends on the product, the foundation that you're using, on whether a brush works better or a beauty blender works better. And I will tell you what I think when I'm done here. I wonder if I can find, I do have a little bag sitting here because I didn't want to get up. So if I move in really close, I might wash myself out, but if I move in a little bit closer than normal, excuse me as I get all up in here. With the brush, sometimes you can see strokes. You might not see it very well on the camera, which is great. That's a good thing. You can definitely see that I have foundation on one side of my face and not on the other side yet. But sometimes, like I said, sometimes with a brush, you definitely can see some stippling. You can see your brush lines, your brush strokes. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take my beauty blender, and I'm going to add the same amount of product on the beauty blender itself and dab that into my skin. And again, one side already had the concealer on. This side does not. This side has concealer later. You can hear the squishy, squish, squish, squish. And again, I'm going to take this down my neck. You can do that with your beauty blender. I'm kind of going to clean it up. So if I scoot in really close again, I feel like I get more coverage. This is kind of where I'm telling on myself. I feel like I get more coverage with the blender than I do the brush. I usually only use my brush with this foundation, but recently I've started using my beauty blender with it, and I'm really pleased. I'm now going to do concealer, and again, just like with the brush, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of stipple that on there a little bit. Try and do all of these things. I'm using the same amount that I used on the brush, and I'm going to apply that under my eye. You kind of do this in a V motion down your cheek. I get the dark circles. I also highlight part of my forehead. So if I lean back a little bit now. For me personally, I feel like the side with the Beauty Blender worked out a lot better than the side with the brush. I feel like even from here I can see that there's some patchiness. Not much. I'm only noticing now doing both sides. I feel like I have more coverage on this side. I feel like the concealer obviously pops more when you have it on top of your foundation. So really that's all I wanted to show you. The many ways of adding foundation, putting foundation on, and concealer, and also how to see what you like better. Again, for me, I like this side of my face more than I like this side of my face with how I applied the foundation with the Beauty Blender and then the concealer over top of that, as opposed to the concealer with the brush underneath and the foundation with the brush on top. So that's my opinion. Those are my thoughts. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I will be continuing live videos throughout the week. I'm hoping at least once a night. I don't know. There is life to live outside of the Facebook. Jeez Louise with my English. The Facebook world, hermager. But I'm gonna kind of go with this whole theme. So you did the foundation, you know, your primer, your foundation, your concealer, and then what are we gonna do next? Most of the time you go ahead and do the rest of your face. So you would contour. Maybe we'll talk about contouring tomorrow, contouring, highlighting. We also should talk about how to do a perfect smoky eye, and by perfect I pretty much mean however you want to do your smoky eye. But there are some tips and tricks to the trade. You can do here's a teaser. You can do a smoky eye with any color. Any color combination can be smoked out and it can look freaking amazing. So we have all of these things to talk about. I'm going to go step by step so that everyone can learn something about something pertaining to Younique. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's shorter than all of my other live videos, and I hope to see you again next time. Until then, have a good evening, guys.